Alrighty, everybody. It is 1 p.m. on August 6th, 2024, and I am calling to order the Landmark Preservation Commission meeting. At the beginning of all of our meetings, we introduce the commissioners, and I'll start since I'm already talking. My name is Julie Johnson, and I am a Historic Preservation Project Manager, and I was nominated by the community at large. Graham, would you like to start?
Sure thing. My name's Graham Johnson. I gotta find the camera. I'm also project manager nominated by the Denver Planning Board.
I'm Erica Warzel. I'm an architectural historian and preservation consultant nominated by the community at large.
Emily Hazen, preservationist and designer, nominated by City Planning.
Hi, I'm George Dennis, retired law enforcement. I was nominated by History Colorado.
I'm Nick Fusianis. I'm an architect and a developer, and I was nominated by the American Institute of Architects.
My name is Chris McGinnis. I am also a forensic architect, and I was nominated by the mayor's office.
And I'm Brittany Bryant, Denver Landmark Preservation staff.
Thanks, everybody. On our agenda, we have meeting records for approval. There aren't actually any meeting records for approval. So I will start by giving audio tips for our virtual participants. If you are joining us virtually today, for better sound quality, we strongly encourage you to download Zoom if you haven't already on your desktop, laptop, tablet, or mobile device. You can click audio settings to bring up an additional menu. Add a background noise suppression, test your speaker and microphone, adjust the maximum output volumes. For presenters or public commenters, when it is your turn to speak, to mute or unmute, click on the microphone icon at the bottom of your screen. Expanding the menu next to the microphone will reveal additional options. Select your speaker and microphone devices, test your microphone and speakers, adjust their maximum output volumes. If you still have audio challenges, you can switch to phone for audio. We have another commissioner join us. Larry, would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Hi, I can get the camera here.
Yeah.
Larry Sykes, I'm an architect and I was nominated by History Colorado.
Larry, thank you. All right. Also at the beginning of every meeting, we reserve some time for public comment. Members of the public have up to 2 minutes each for comments about historic preservation in general. These are comments would not be included in any of the other design review projects that we will see later, just historic preservation in Denver in general. To speak, you can click the hand raise button in Zoom. You can dial *9 on your keypad to raise your hand if you're joining by phone, or you can email landmark@denvergov.org with your name and phone number if you are having difficulty with either hand raise option. So we have a couple of people in the live audience today. Did either of you wish to make a comment? Nope, doesn't look like it. Taylor, is anyone that has a hand raised that would like to make a public comment? Historic preservation in general. Okay, great. All right, then let us move on to the consent agenda. These are routine design review items recommended for commission approval without discussion. Applicants with items passed on the consent agenda should coordinate separately with landmark preservation staff to receive a certificate of appropriateness. There is no public comment for consent agenda items. The chair will announce the consent agenda by address. I will ask if commissioners desire to remove the item off of the consent agenda. Removed items will be shifted to the meeting's regular design review agenda. Commission members can announce any ex parte contacts and conflicts of interest of any items. The commission will make a motion and vote. And also this same goes with the design review projects. The LPC can only consider information included in the application materials on the LPC meeting website. We can't have any late additional information. So today we actually only have one item on the consent agenda item. It is 2024 COA-456 at 2246 Irving Street in Witter Cofield. Commissioners, did anyone have any questions? Anybody want to bring it off the consent agenda? No, it doesn't look like it. Can I hear a motion?
Chair, I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Graham has moved and Erica seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, the consent agenda has been approved. So if you're here joining us virtually for the pizza kiosk, Please check with Brittany for your certificate of appropriateness. You do not need to hang out with us for the rest of the meeting. You can log off if you'd like. You're of course welcome to join us, to continue to join us, but you may have other things to do this afternoon. So let's get on to the design review process, and this is how it will work. The chair will announce the design review items on agenda in order by address. The commission members can announce any ex parte or conflicts of interest. Staff will introduce the application and make a recommendation, and commissioners can question staff. The applicant has 10 minutes to talk about their projects, and commissioners may question the applicant. There is, after the applicant's presentation, there's a public comment period, and everyone is, anyone who wishes to make a public comment is allowed at least, or up to 2 minutes per person. If you would like to speak regarding a specific project and you are not part of that applicant team, please click the hand raise button. For those calling via phone, dial *9 to raise your hand. If you are having difficulty with either hand raise option, email landmark@denvergov.org with your name and phone number. Staff can clarify if necessary. The commission will deliberate, and then the commission will make a motion and vote. And again, the LPC can't consider any information in the application that was not included in application materials on the LPC meeting website. So today, our first project is 2024-COA-457 at 1920 East 6th Avenue, and that is in the Country Club District. Yes. Okay, great. Oh, yes, there it is. In the agenda, it says Curtis Park. So at any rate, that's okay, Brittany. Our staff person is Brittany Bryant, who will take it away.
So our first project for consideration today is for a phase 2 design detail review for an addition to a structure within the Country Club Historic District. It is right along 6th Avenue. It's a very small structure. The structure did the commission did determine this structure was contributing to the Country Club Historic District. It is in a part of the district that is characterized by very large homes. You can see the location here on the map and how it's just at the boundary with the Driving Park Historic District. So the commission did review and approve the phase 2 mass form and context in September of 2022 for this project. So it's been a while since the commission last saw this project, but major alterations to the primary structure are pretty limited. Currently the home is entered by this side entry door that will be removed and the primary entrance to the home restored. There is an egress well proposed on this side as well, and then a large 2-story addition at the rear with a connector addition with a flat roof on the west side of the property. So that was all reviewed and approved by the commission in the phase 1. So today, again, we're just looking at the design details of this project. So the structure will be clad with a metal shake shingle on the roofing. It does look like asphalt shingles. Staff do not have any concern over the proposed roofing product. And then the flat roof portion of the addition will actually be a rooftop deck with roof pavers that will allow access onto that space. So here is the proposed addition as viewed from the front and the rear. So the addition will be clad in brick. The brick will be painted to match the primary structure. The primary structure does have corner coins, and the proposed addition does not have those corner coins, so that does help differentiate the addition from the primary structure. In the front elevation, you can see that modification to that side entry door that will be modified into a window, and that new egress window well as a basement dig out is proposed as part of this project scope to add additional square footage to this home. The primary structure will also have its front door replaced. It's a non-historic door, and it will be replaced with a new door that is compatible with the character of the Country Club Historic District. This elevation of the addition is not really visible from the public right of way, but it will be clad in hardy shingle. So there is reference to hardy shingle in your application packet, and it's for this south elevation that is not really visible from the public right of way. Here are the side elevations for the proposed addition. Again, this addition will have a garage door on the east and west elevations. Again, that was approved in part of the phase 1 submittal. All windows will be inset into the wall plane for this proposed addition. As you can see in the window section detail. All windows for the new addition are fiberglass composite, single hung windows, mostly in the 1/1 operation. Staff do have some concerns about the basement windows on the historic home because it is our understanding that as part of this project scope, the basement will be dug out and windows will be added to add light into that space, and they are shown as slider windows. However, the elevations do note existing windows, so we are requesting some clarification on if those windows are existing conditions or proposed alterations into the space. If they're an existing condition, we can't require a change to those slider configuration. However, if they're new windows, they should not be sliders, as we do not allow slider windows in our historic district, and should be changed into a window type that we do allow and approve. So generally speaking, the details are very simple on the proposed addition. This is Country Club where things are a little bit more replicative, but it will not have quarter coins. The existing home is fairly simple and architectural detail, so it's fairly difficult to simplify the addition more, but there is a connector piece that helps differentiate the addition. It is inset on the east elevation. There is a change in roof form on the west elevation. So we do feel that the addition is differentiated from the primary structure. So here are just some of those design details that are proposed. Again, the brick will be painted to match the primary structure. You can see those carriage style doors, that divided light door, and those fiber cement shingles, as well as the light fixtures that are proposed for this project proposal. Generally speaking, this is what has been shown all along for this addition, and staff do feel that it is compatible with the surrounding historic context and the existing primary structure. However, we would just like clarification on those slider windows on the existing historic structure, as that's not something we allow. So we are recommending approval with conditions.
Thank you, Brittany. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Brittany? Okay, great. Is the applicant here? Or is this your project? No? Okay. The applicant joining us virtually? I see a hand raised.
That's the homeowner. I don't see their architect on, no. I mean, unless this is them by.
Can you
Hi
hear
there.
me?
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can indeed. So you will have 10 minutes to talk about your project, and as you begin the 10 minutes, please give your name and address for our records.
And KJ, before you start, is your architect joining by phone? Do you know?
I thought he was.
Okay. Claire, can you promote the phone number that has their hand raised as well?
Okay, I thought it was this one.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. There's a hand raise and the phone number too.
I'll do this phone number one.
Maybe it's the architect.
We can hope so.
Just want to make sure you have your whole team here.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you for joining us. So between the two of you, you'll have 10 minutes to make the presentation, and please begin with your name and address for our records. Anytime.
Are you speaking to me or the owner? I'm not sure.
Well, it doesn't really matter. Whoever wants to begin can begin at any point.
Okay, my name is Scott Robinson with Lodestone Design Group.
Okay.
We're located in Frederick, Colorado.
Great, thanks. And go ahead with your presentation.
Okay, yeah, so as Brittany said, we in this phase of the submittal, we tried to keep with the original submittal, and so we haven't really changed a whole lot. We have changed some window configurations and window types. Where we try to keep with their recommendations. I think we did a pretty good job at that. All the existing windows are notated on the plan, are existing. The new basement egress have railings around them, and those are all will be single hung windows. And I think besides that, I think she covered everything else pretty good. I'm not sure if KJ, if you have anything to add that Brittany didn't already add.
No, I agree. Basically, the sliders on the original part of the house have been there from the beginning. There is a slight crawl space about 5 foot high that has the slider windows on either side of it. But other than that, we've tried to keep everything that we were told to do.
Okay, great. Thank you both very much. Commissioners, do you have any questions for our applicants?
I do not.
Okay. Oh, you don't? Okay, excellent. So, well done you. There are no questions for us or for you from us. Then let's go on to the public comment for design review projects. If there's someone, anyone here wish to make a comment or virtually, if you're joining us virtually to speak, you can raise your hand button on Zoom. You can dial *9 on your keyboard to raise your hand if you're joining by phone. If you're emailing us, you can email us at landmark@denvergov.org with your name and phone number if you're having difficulty with either hand raise option. And then you will be given 2 minutes to provide your comment. Doesn't look like we have anyone here in person. What about in virtual land? Any hands raised? Nope. Okay, great. All right, staff, did you have any other updates?
I'd probably say with the applicant's clarification, I recommend just approval. with no
Approval, yeah.
conditions.
Whoever makes that motion, yes, should we get to that point? Okay, great. All right,
Should you
commissioners,
agree?
should we agree? Yes, commissioners, what are your thoughts?
Just to be clear, the sliders are existing, right?
Correct.
First concerned about subordination, but once I see the whole plans and the angle of view of the new addition, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think phase 2 here, I haven't seen it. Haven't decided if it's historically significant a few years back, whenever that was, that
Yeah,
this one's been in the system for a little while, but
Yeah,
I
for
feel
sure.
good with staff's recommendation.
okay, great. Anybody else, any other thoughts? Okay, do I hear a motion then? Whoever makes the motion, remember this will not be conditional since the windows are existing.
I can make the motion.
Erica,
Madam Chair, I move to approve application number 2024-COA-457 for the Phase 2 design details for the new addition at 1920 East 6th Avenue as per Country Club Design Guidelines. E1, E2, F4, Design Guidelines 2.14, 3.3, 3.4, 3.6, and 3.7. Character defining features for the Country Club Historic District, presented testimony, submitted documentation, and information provided in the staff report.
Erica, thank you. Second?
Second.
Graham has seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, the ayes have it unanimously. KJ and Scott, congratulations. And you can work with Brittany further on your project. Very exciting project. All right, on to our next project, which is 2024-COA-306 at 2351 Stout Street in the Curtis Park neighborhood. And Andrew is our staff person. And Andrew, you can take it away whenever you are ready.
Will you turn your video on and then I'll give you remote control?
Do you want to advance the slides or
It's up to you.
I'll let you do it?
Okay.
Hello, I'm Andrew Abbey, Landmark Preservation staff. So this project is at 2351 Stout Street in the Curtis Park H Historic District, which is a relatively new addition to the Curtis Park District, having been created in 2011. The home here is an 1885 era single-family residence designed in the Italianate style, similar to other homes in Curtis Park. In 1993, prior to the district being established, the previous owners added to and expanded the front porch. Otherwise, staff did not find reference or documentation to any other major exterior alterations, and as such, the home possesses great architectural integrity. The current homeowners, James and Stephanie, purchased the property in 2021 and have resided there since. Next slide. From 2021 to 2024, the homeowners noticed worsening structural conditions on the rear facade and rear bump out portion of their home. And when I say rear bump out, it's that portion that's kind of projecting off the rear of that box there. So these structural issues were in the form of large cracks throughout the brick wall and portions of the foundation wall visible above grade. Additionally, they noticed some bricks had even fallen out or were missing entirely. In early 2024, the homeowners engaged the services of a licensed structural engineer to assess and recommend solutions for the various visible structural issues. Upon the request of Landmark staff, the homeowners asked their structural engineer to provide a letter summarizing everything that was observed, the suggested maneuvers that were proposed, and finally what was eventually done. And this letter is available to you in the applicant materials package for reference. Next slide, please. So work had begun based on these recommendations, and the homeowners were under the incorrect impression at the time that structural repairs not visible from the public right-of-way required a landmark review and approval. The applicants reached out to Landmark Preservation staff in May 2024 and stopped work immediately once staff informed them that they had to obtain prior approval. Next slide. At that time, a new concrete sister wall had been added to portions of the foundation wall at the rear, as shown in this section and photographs provided by the homeowners. Additionally, a cementitious layer and fiberglass mesh coat was applied to the rear facade and bump out portion of the home prior to work being stopped. Since then, the homeowners have worked diligently with staff to provide the requested materials and come up with a strategy on how to move forward. In summary, Landmark staff have reviewed the project and decided that although we would not be supportive of the work that has already been done had it been proposed prior. The removal of the concrete sister wall and the concrete siding and fiberglass mesh would cause more damage than was originally present and would further endanger the structural integrity of the house. Next slide. Therefore, staff are recommending a retroactive approval and that the applicants retain the altered rear walls in their current state, as most of the original brick has been obscured, and that the removal of the new elements would present a much greater danger to the home. Additionally, the applicants have requested that they be able to add a smooth stucco coating to the rear to give the facade a finished appearance. Staff are hesitant to recommend approval for this and caution that continuing to add material to the wall plane will alter the relationship of the wall to the architectural elements of the facade, such as windows, sills, and eaves. Next slide, please. So the motion currently in the packet would be to approve the project and the requested stucco covering. This updated motion would be to approve the project as is with a conditional approval of not doing the stuccoing. And that is the end of the presentation.
Great, thank you very much, Andrew. Commissioners, any questions for staff?
Do you know if they're doing like a traditional stucco, like 3-coat, or is it like a eaves, what they're proposing?
It was going to be, they are proposing to do a traditional true cementitious stucco. And they, the applicants should be on to if they want to speak more on that, about what they're proposing.
Thank you.
Okay. Great. All right, if there aren't any further questions for the staff, let's go ahead and see if I believe they're joining us virtually, is that we said?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So.
Hello, can you hear?
Yeah, hi Stephanie. You will be given 10 minutes to talk to us about your project. And if you could begin that 10 minutes with your name and address for our records, that would be great.
And just let me know when you want me to advance your slides.
Brilliant, thank you. My name is Stephanie Bruss, and I live at 2351 Stout Street, and my husband James is here as well.
Hi there, James Ogden, 2351 Stout Street.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, of course. So first off, wanted to thank Andrew so much for helping us through this process. You guys are really lucky to have him. He was just a wonderful steward for you guys, a wealth of knowledge, and super easy to work with. So big thanks to Andrew. And yeah, we just wanted to kind of chat through the project a little bit. I think to kind of start off, we understand really what you guys do. We both have experience in kind of real estate and architecture, and we understand really kind of the impact that your work has on the city. We know how important it is for Denver's unique character, and really stewarding Denver into the future. So we love Curtis Park's history and architecture, and really just love living in the community that it's created. So wanted to thank you for all the good work that you're doing, and we totally understand why we are all here today talking about it. And yeah, we appreciate your time and attention. We've worked with Landmark on the front of our house, which has been great. James has worked with Landmark on other projects. And as like Andrew said, we came forward with this issue after a little bit of a mix up on the guidelines, but really wanted to be transparent and work with you on this. So we see ourselves as stewards of the home. Quite honestly, we wouldn't live a half a block off Park and Stout if we didn't really love it. As you know, it's an area with a lot of unhoused neighbors, but presents some unique challenges. We had a scooter stolen from our front yard. Last September, a homeless person stole a box truck, crashed into our front yard, like feet away from our neighbor's house. So it's pretty crazy over there, but we just love it. We love the house. We love the architecture. We love the neighborhood and the community. So yeah, so that's kind of, why we're here. And we really see ourselves as stewards of the home. And then jumping into some stucco precedents. So we did, a quick dog walk around the neighborhood like we always do, and grab some photos. If you want to jump in to the deck here. Very quickly, we were able to pull together 28 examples of mixed materiality. So stucco on one side of a building, and then brick on the other. So this is literally right around the corner from us. This first one, if you want to go to the next. And again, further down the street, you can just power right on through these. You can just keep going there. I think there are 28 in this deck that I was able to pull together quite quickly. So I don't know if you need to see all of those, but there are quite a few.
That's it. Do you have anything else to share, Stephanie?
We don't. We're happy to answer any questions that you guys might have.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions for the applicants? Larry?
Yes, as far as proposed stucco over the parging that's been done, do you know how thick that'll need to be? It looks like basically you've kind of got a scratch coat already, so does it really need much more thickness to create a finished layer?
Yeah, the thickness of the stucco that we're proposing is about an 1/8 inch. It's just the screen coat on top. So not thick at all.
And it would be a super smooth finish.
He's calling it a Santa Barbara finish. So it's as smooth as you can get stucco. We did propose the one that's a little bit more rough, and Andrew guided us towards the smoother option.
Thank you.
Great. Other questions, commissioners? Okay, terrific. Thank you very much. Let's see if there's anyone that would like to make a comment on the project. I don't see any hands raised here or virtually. Okay, oh, we do have one.
No, I just moved
Oh,
someone
no,
back
you just
in.
moved Stephanie. Okay, great. All right, so no public comments. Andrew, did you have any additional comments? Or-
Nope, not this time.
Not at this time. Excellent. All right, commissioners, what are your thoughts on this?
I guess I'll jump in since
Sure,
I
Larry,
asked
thank
the
you.
question. I think I, agree with the staff report that, of course, it would have been great to have sought a different solution to this, but I think given what has been done, it seems reasonable. It's at the back of a kind of attached property, and I'm not necessarily against them adding a finish
You're okay with the stucco?
coat, knowing how thin that finish coat is and that it'll help bridge cracks that'll inevitably form in the parging coat. So,
Graham, did you have any thoughts about that?
No, I think, staff again, to take that off is gonna do a lot more damage to that old soft mud brick, so. At this point, allowing it to finish and be protected is the best step, I think.
How do you feel about the stucco?
I think a finish coat, traditional 3-coat, like Chris mentioned, makes sense to me. I mean, you have that open porous kind of scratch coat that's gonna invite a little more moisture, so a finish coat makes sense.
Gentlemen, down this way.
Yeah, I would agree with Larry and Graham. I think it would be, kind of a shame not to go ahead and finish it off since it's already been started. I think it looks unfinished now, and I think it would probably be a good idea to go ahead and clean it up and finish it.
All right.
Question for staff, maybe, or for, if it is stucco with integral color, was there discussion of that trying to be a color similar to the brick, or did that come up at all in conversation?
We did not have that conversation. Yeah.
Could be our only purview on the stucco, I think, would be if it wasn't integral color versus a painted finish over that. I don't know, Brittany, how that gets defined.
It's difficult with stucco because obviously you can get it with integral color, but you can always paint it later. I think it's not something we look at too closely with stucco, more so with brick and things like that, but you can make that friendly
I was saying
recommendation.
friendly comment,
Friendly
then, yeah,
comment.
instead of the stark gray, that there's maybe a finish coat that helps it be a little closer to what it looked like before.
Not so concrete. All right,
Um,
George, what are your thoughts? Oh, Erica.
I'm not that excited about the stucco. I think it's fine. It's a very traditional material used in the area. I am, however, just sort of normally averse to retroactive approvals, but the exigent circumstances here of the south wall sort of override that this time.
Yeah,
So I can go along with the staff's recommendations.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with all that's been said. I just wanted to add that the stucco examples are pretty clearly were applied at a time before the district was in place, or or not historically, or if historically, as part of the integral design that accommodated details on facades. So I think in that case, they weren't really germane to this discussion, but just wanted to make that note.
Could I as staff add something to that? No, that was brought up.
Certainly.
So I just wanted to say, staff did go through and we checked about the first 15 and none of them have approval. So we decided as staff that these were likely done before the district was created.
Right.
And only one of them that we did find, because it had a recent addition. Was that the one you're talking about, Brittany, that had come before LPC and was approved long ago? So only one of them.
Well, I don't remember which one specifically
Yeah,
we were
sorry.
talking about since there were so many. But we do allow stucco on additions. It is a material that is recommended by our guidelines for additions. Generally, we don't like covering of historic materials. We have very limited purview there, as those things don't always require a permit. But stucco coating does require permits, so that's why you're reviewing this specific application today. We as staff discussed it and we felt like, we were very torn about the parch coat being applied in the first place, but we felt it would very significantly damage the brick to take it off. So we're just, we are erring on the side of caution as our guidelines talk about not applying coats to unfinished, well, brick is finished, but to masonry materials. So, but that is something the commission has approved, particularly when the material's damaged, and it would probably significantly damage this material to take it off. So.
Okay, so just to clarify with staff real fast, the current motion as it's written is approving the stucco?
Yes.
Okay, okay, great. Thanks, Sandra. All right, any other comments, Larry?
Question for
Sure.
Brittany for clarification. You were saying that historic materials can in some cases be covered or by new materials in a case where building permit isn't required?
Yes.
Wow.
I am saying that because we only have purview over what requires a building or zoning permit.
Okay.
It's hard for me to think of an instance but
Yeah.
unpainted brick can be painted, and that's not something we have purview over because that doesn't require permit. That's the closest instance I can think of, like any kind of siding or stucco work that requires.
Okay. Thank you.
Good question. All right, do I hear a motion?
Madam Chair, I move to approve application number 2024-DOA-306 for the siding and foundation alterations at 2351 Stout Street as per design guidelines 2.1, 2.3, 2.4, 2.29, and 2.30. Presented testimony, submitted documentation, and information provided in the staff report.
Thank you, Larry. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
George has seconded it. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, it's unanimous. You all can work with Andrew. And thank you very much, Andrew. And we will move on to our next design review. And it's actually our last design review, making up for last time, right? 2024-COA-467 at 2820 Champa Street, and that is in Curtis Park. And Amy is our staff person. Take it away, Amy, whenever you're ready.
Yes, sit in the right seat here, Brittany, if you wouldn't mind controlling the slides.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Will you turn on the camera then?
I am not logged into the meeting.
Uh-oh.
I just do it here.
Taylor's coming to
Oh,
ask you.
so sorry. I didn't know.
That computer is being difficult lately.
Just not showing. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, Amy Amadon here to represent a new ADU at 2820 Champa Street. So the first slide here shows you a photo of this beautiful home built in approximately 1886. It is in a mid-block location, approximately at the center of the Curtis Park Historic District. It has a masonry ground floor with heavy stone details at the windows, which I'll refer to again in a moment when we talk about the proposed new structure, and a highly decorative wood upper floor on the building. Next slide, please. On the left is an aerial view of the property with a yellow box around the subject site. And in this view, you can see a mix of building footprints and roof forms in the neighborhood, many of which are flat roofs. Some of the properties like this one have a larger yard around them, and others are fairly close to the street with limited visible landscape. On the right is a picture of the non-contributing garage that is to be removed as part of this project. Not shown in that particular view of the garage, I guess you can get a little glimpse of it. Accessory buildings on this alley are a mix of 1- and 2-story structures. There happen to be 2-story structures flanking both sides of the proposed new ADU that we're about to talk about. Next slide, please. The site plan again shows the open yard that currently leaves the historic home very visible to the public. The new detached ADU is almost 30 feet behind the structure. There are limited vantage points that the public would see the new ADU from the street. There does happen to be a driveway for the neighboring property that runs along one side. So that does allow some glimpses from the street towards the back of the site. To staff's knowledge, the proposed ADU meets setback and other dimensional requirements of the zone district, which will be reviewed in further detail at the building permit. There are 2 parking spaces in the garage and 1 uncovered surface parking space. Next slide, please. On the left is an elevation of the ADU as it faces the back of the historic resource. As I noted, I think there'll be limited visibility of the structure from the street, but the architect has been particularly careful on this facade to reference the primary home in subtle ways. The ADU is a flat roofed rectangular building strongly related to the district, but subordinate to the architecture of the primary home on the site. It's lower in height, but related in scale to the home in terms of its massing and features. The material palette references the masonry base of the historic home and nods to those heavy stone sills and headers that I showed you in the original image. The little gable roofed entry canopy ties into the hoods that are over windows on the upper floor of the house. Staff worked with the architect. We've seen a few iterations of this project, including how to treat that entry. And we think this is a successful way to indicate that this is a residential structure in addition to the garage function. The brick will read as a modern material because it has a crisp, not tumbled edge, and the other material selections also help to reinforce that this building is new but inspired by the district. The section which is looking towards the alley is displayed here so that you can see that there are solar panels on the roof that will be screened by the parapet wall. The applicant's presentation will walk you more thoroughly through floor plans and elevations of this building. Next slide, please. This rendering shows the ADU and its adjacent private yard, which is defined by a wood fence and has some nice outdoor space for the benefit of that unit, making it very livable. Next slide. Here's a summary of the proposed primary exterior building materials. We noted in the memo that the use of natural brick is highly appropriate here to the neighborhood, and also in some ways will help to distinguish this building as different because so many masonry structures, as we were just discussing on the last project, are being painted or have stucco on them. So this is a really nice way to reference the historic palette of the neighborhood and also to reduce the scale of the building without coarsening the bricks and the grout lines. Makes it a very warm addition to the alley, we believe. Next slide, please. Staff is recommending approval of the ADU as proposed.
Amy, thank you. Commissioners, any questions for Amy?
Just one. Does staff have any issue with heat pump that's on the roof that extends above the?
No, I
roof line?
don't think so. That's a, I think, responsible energy choice to heat and cool the building and discreetly placed, pulled in from the edges. I assume there's not much other opportunity to shift it around with the solar panels, which are also an important sustainability feature.
I see. It's a, it as a piece of equipment that's added to the structure, it's allowed to exceed the maximum height.
That I don't know. I don't know what the exception to height might be. And of course, there will be a building permit check and that sort of thing might come up. It's possible it has to be placed on the ground. That's to be determined.
Got it.
So just to further elaborate on that, the commission reviewed and approved administrative adjustment for something very similar not too long ago for the mini split unit on the roof where they also couldn't place it anywhere else on the site. It may need an AA, it may not, but we are not skilled enough to identify that, but the
Got it.
commission has reviewed.
It was just something that leapt out at me and I thought worth asking, so.
Sure, certainly.
Can you just wait to your
Yeah.
presentation?
Commissioners, do you have any other questions for staff? No? Okay, great. Amy, thank you very much. And so applicants, you can take a seat over there. You'll have 10 minutes to tell us about your project. And please begin that with your name and address.
You can run it, right?
I can't, but
I will be ready.
you don't want me in charge.
My name is Patrick Tillmans. I'm the owner. I'm here joined with Matthew Craig, our architect, and my girlfriend, Jen Springswich. She's on the Zoom call. So, yeah, so we're very excited to be
Okay,
here.
so we do have somebody on the Zoom call. Does she want to speak?
No, I don't think she wants to
Oh,
speak
okay.
unless whatever reason comes up.
Okay,
you
all
let
right,
us know.
that's fine. I just want to make sure you didn't want her as part of your team. Okay, great. Go ahead.
Yeah, so if you go to the next slide, basically want to just elaborate and provide some context to the application process. I think Amy gave a good overview and a lot of detail is in the application, obviously. So I just want to give a background of the thought process and how we got here. So first of all, I bought the was it the house in 2004, quite some time ago, when people thought it was not a good idea to invest in that neighborhood, and I thought differently. And then we started thinking about 4 years ago to build the ADU, and then I believe that was the first conversation we had also with Keith from the neighborhood, really to get as much input as possible of like what's allowed, what's the possibility to preserve the matching of the neighborhood, and really to get through the process in the first go, because I know a lot of people go back and forth. I try to go as much as straightforward as possible, and we had some good conversation with Amy. Also, as she mentioned, a couple of cycles. Interestingly, what's not mentioned there, but again, sitting on the front porch, if you look at the houses across the street, 5 out of 6 are actually Italianate, and so they match very much. And actually the one that is not Italianate is obscured by a tree, so I cannot see it from the front porch. That's just a fun detail, I thought. So if you go to the next slide, giving a little bit of background of like how we thought, and very much the idea on the one hand for form follows function, at the same time reserve like what is Italianate and or how can make something match in the neighborhood. So we looked at like what is the area that we can really work on, with the idea, as I mentioned, to make this a primary residence. And so look at like what is the back area of the house that we could use. Well, the front area the main house would be available as a rental. So this is the kind of space that we initially start with. And then you go to the next slide, we start thinking first like, okay, functionally, how do we want to live there? What do we need? So that's where it came up, as mentioned, like a double car garage with this flex space, or my girlfriend likes to do yoga, so that she can use that as a flex space there. And then upstairs more, we like the idea of an entertainment space. So kitchen, big kitchen with a dining room, a lounge where we can just entertain guests or just live ourselves with a master suite. So from there, so that's where we went initially back and forth, like how can we shape this? How can we move things around so it fits also the style that matches from the outside? So from there, we went then to the outside and looked like what our neighborhood houses look like. And on the next slide, I gave a few examples. There's a lot more in the application, but the pictures, the left two on the slide here, those are actually from right across the street. The one on the left is straight across, and then the middle one, that's a duplex. They did a lot of renovations to that and actually built something behind and on top when was it, about 15 years ago, I believe. So those are the two the properties that we directly face. And then another inspiration was there were several of them in the neighborhood. So this is a newer one on the right that was in California Street. So a couple of details that we noticed. For instance, the cornice, we like the cornice of the two ones on the left. Now, that's a very, very ornate cornice. And so we want to have a little bit of a cornice. And so we came actually with an example of a, what's the material again? The fiberglass, right? A fiberglass cornice. So very stylized, but really just reflecting some of the neighborhood as well. Lots of back and forth on style and position of the windows. Even after the last meeting with Amy, we spoke with the neighborhood and they had a few more suggestions. And then we added actually 2 windows, or 1 window added at that point as well before we did the final submission, and a few tweaks also on the windows itself. Other details, yeah, we can go further in detail if you have questions, but there's quite a few details. Also the elimination of the 2 floors with brick layout, things like that. So that's where we came to, and then go to the next slide so that we come to you saw some of the the document has the official, like the drawings, the technical drawings. I like it more from an architectural inspirational viewpoint. This is more the artistic rendering that I think that's what Matthew started with, and we like that very much and went back and forth several times. So it really gives the idea, is like the picture on the right top, that's how you see it from the main house. So there's really very Italianate and matching the rest of the neighborhood. The garage door was actually not in the original one, but that's where, again, working with the staff, we originally had a regular door, and staff thought that looks too much like a duplex, too commercial-like, and so it was actually in that conversation that we decided to make that like a garage door. That goes into the garage for the double garage. Otherwise, I don't think I have a lot of things to add to this. Yeah, I think the next thing is just if you have any questions. If there's any technical questions, Matthew can answer here as well.
Okay, great. Thank
Otherwise,
you very
that's
much.
it.
Commissioners, any questions for our applicants? No, well, doesn't look like it. You must have done a really good job. Thank you very much.
I could speak.
Did you
to
have
the-
something else you wanted to say?
I can speak to the AC unit on the roof.
Okay.
Sure. To my knowledge, there's an exception for any HVAC or mechanical units that go through the maximum height.
Got it.
And it made more sense for us to put it up there because that's where a lot of the heating and cooling is gonna be, is upstairs. And so shorter line sets going to there. And we purposely, if you go to the renderings view, it has 4 different renderings on it. We pushed it back from the corner that in perspective, you're not gonna see it at all.
Got it.
So in elevation, yeah, you see it, it's there, but in reality, we hope you never see it. And there's also a huge tree right above that too, so that'll help with some shading on it.
Yeah, the tree in the rendering in the right upper, that's an existing tree. It's a very significant tree. And so we did all kind of measurements, like how can we make sure that we can retain the trees? That's an idea too. And to your point, I believe it was on 29 in California that was discussed some time ago, where they also have a similar situation of also solar panels that may stick out above. So yeah, so because I've been attending, I think, these meetings for the last year. Just to see.
So have we. Okay, great. Thank you. Larry has another question.
Yeah, notice on the details sheet, the window jamb detail shows like a stucco or some other kind of thin cladding finish. Instead of the brick, is that just an error of detail you put in there?
Yeah, I know what you're looking at. That's page 15. We were showing the brick jam detail there, but yeah, we forgot to update that to brick because at one point, this 3 sides of it was we had lab siding, and then we switched to all brick all the way around based on some comments there, and so that's on us to fix. Yeah. Okay. And actually, I'm really, at first we were apprehensive to do all 4 sides of brick, but it looks so great having all 4 sides. And there's really no true front or back to this ADU. I think it really looks nice from front to back. So
yeah, to be honest, there was some confusion on that because initial guidelines we got that the front should be brick, and then we had several backs and fronts. It's like, and so in the end, I think the last recommendation, so it should be all brick or all siding. And so then, okay, I hope I can finance it.
I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, anything else, commissioners, for applicants? It doesn't look like it. All right, thank you, gentlemen. All right, then we go to our public comment period. And let's see, we have a couple of people online. Do we have any hands raised? Public comments for those of you joining us virtually, please click the hand raise button in Zoom. You can dial *9 on your keypad to raise your hand if you're joining by phone. Or you can email us at landmark@denvergov.org with your name and phone number if you're having difficulty with either hand raise option. And at that point, you will be given 2 minutes to provide your comment. Anybody wishing to online? I don't see any hands raised. No? Okay. In person? Keith?
Can you actually return
Yeah,
to the,
applicants, I'm sorry, I
So-
didn't notice your
so
seat.
Keith can sit
Yeah,
at this, thank you.
so Keith, we'll have you see, come sit yourself up here.
I didn't see you coming in. That's, yeah, so I've been working with you for what, 4 years or so I have.
And so Keith, you know the
Yeah.
routine, name and address for our records, please.
Sure, Keith Pryor, 2418 Champa. I'm the design review chair for the Curtis Park Design Review Committee. We submitted a letter as a part of this packet, which you received. Thank you so much for your time today in reviewing this project. It fits very well within the district, and Amy did a great job on reviewing this and making additional tweaks to it that we definitely recommend approval for. We find that you guys have approved this size of an ADU over off of 27th and Curtis just about 3 months ago. It was a 3-car garage ADU that had a flat roof with the primary structure that had a pitched roof. This is something that's very common to have alternating roof styles. Flat roofs for secondary structures are very common within the district. And this block has a series of ADUs that already exist, both historic as well as contemporary. As far as lot coverage, this fits very well within the context of the district, and we're very much in support. We did have comments on the windows. The applicant did address those on the front facade. The rear facade really actually hits it right on the nail. But they did a brick molding that makes it a little bit more narrow to get that tall, narrow window piece that was a concern for ours that really matches the windows within the district, which is critical to us. So all brick is great. The applicant has been great to work with, has taken feedback from us as well as staff and incorporated this in. This has clearly been approved time and time again by the staff and by this commission, and we do recommend approval unanimously and ask for your support on this. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Keith. And I think that's everybody. No one was online to do it, and Keith was in person. Okay, terrific. Staff, Amy, did you have any additional comments, anything additionally? Commissions, any questions for staff before we go into deliberation? Then let's go into deliberation. People, what are your thoughts?
I guess I'll jump in. I think this is a very successful project. I think the details are great, but also that just the overall form fits within the context of the neighborhood and this building, the primary building, and is subordinate to both in its simplicity but also attention to detail that kind of helps fit it in. So I support the project and staff's recommendation.
Commissioners?
I agree with Erica and staff.
I thought it was very respectful of the original structure, actually. You know, it's subordinate to and respectful of, so I liked it as well. I thought it met our guidelines.
I appreciate the implementation of the form, and like everyone else, I do appreciate that it's 4 sides brick. I have a slight qualms about the proportion of the awning windows, but I absolutely understand the functionality being a bathroom, you know, so that's not something that I'm going to protest, but that's my
That's a
commentary.
good point, actually. All right, commissioners, unless there are any other comments, do I hear a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll move
Graham.
to approve application 2024-COA-467 for a new accessory dwelling unit at 2820 Champa Street for design guidelines 2.36, 4.1, 4.3 through 4.8, 4.1 through 4.20, 5.2, 5.6, 5.18. Character defining features for the Curtis Park Historic District, presented testimony, submitted documentation, and information provided in staff report.
Graham, thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Emily is going to second it. Excellent. Her first as a commission member. All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, it has been unanimously approved. Yeah, congratulations. All righty. Moving right along now, according to our agenda, we have no business items. The agenda also tells me no discussion items. Correct. Okay, anything else for the good of the order?
No.
Okay, all right, I am adjourning the meeting at 1:59 PM.
I didn't know if you're gonna hit that 2 o'clock mark.
I